Hello, welcome to the second segment, the second edition of the Yuli and how do you pronounce your last name, sir? Chushamungo
Yeah.
podcast, also known as the Newsies Podcast.
So, fuck. Right, sync it up. Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I don't know. I'm okay. Yeah, I'm good.
Fine, okay.
I
Good.
work too much, I think. I work too much.
How much is too much?
It depends on the
people
type of
talk
work.
about work-life balance. Like, what is a work-life balance?
I think it depends on the type of work, right? Like, if I'm doing acting, like it's work, yeah, but I could do it till like 5 a.m. and be fine.
Just like 80 hours a week.
I could do like 80 hours a
I
week.
feel like that's still get depressing.
Past a certain amount of time, I'm sure. Yeah. But I want to fill that meter. Like, I want to see how far that goes. I want to see how deep that rabbit hole goes. No?
I'm trying to like have the perfect work-life balance where I'm doing just the right enough amount of work to where I feel good. Like I feel like my soul is fulfilled, and then past that, I just want to drink wine and coffee.
Well, there are some crazy assholes out there who spend like, how many hours are there in a week? 170?
Maybe.
I think it's like 163.
24 times 7.
Yeah, I think it's like...
Quick, 24 times 7.
I think it's 163.
Okay.
I think that's how many hours are in a week. It's something like that. And there are people who will legit work 140 hours a week, you know, and consider that to be fine.
Like CEOs? Wait. Describe that again. So you said 160 hours a week.
Yeah.
And
there are people who like all they do is work.
And how many hours a week? How many hours do
like
they
140.
work? So how much
sleep like a few hours a night. There are people who do that, man. Look at fucking Mark Wahlberg. No, he sleeps at like 7:30. But like Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah.
That guy, like, he wakes up super early every morning. He goes to bed super late every night. Spends like an hour with his family a day. You know, he's like, he just shows up.
Does he?
Yeah, he spends no time with his family. His wife is probably
He's
horny
with his
all
kid.
the time.
Little Johnny, they're having a good time for like 30 minutes. And
Yeah.
Beep, 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 beep. All right, time's up, son. Gotta go.
Gotta get this bread, boy.
They built like one Lego set.
No, he just has his kid work out. That's what he does for the half hour.
All right, Johnny, do some push-ups.
Little like 5-year-old
Bonding
kid.
time.
The kid's like, Dad, I want to fucking build a plane. No. No, you're gonna work out. You get this grind. You know? But some people are like that. Elon Musk is probably like that. CEOs love
I
CEOs.
respect Elon Musk's grind.
Oh, absolutely.
There's some grinds where if you're like a CEO of some bullshit company and all you do is work and you're doing it for maybe money, I guess it depends on the motivation behind the grind. That's what I respect.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, it depends what it is you're working on.
So you're saying your motivation behind acting is so great that you wouldn't mind spending so much time on it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think...
I've only had the opportunity to really work on acting to the extent I wanted to a few times. Like, I worked on Richard III a bunch. I never even performed it, but I worked on it a bunch. I thought that was amazing. I'd love to do stuff like that. Like, I'd love to have a group of people who are as passionate as I am work with me until, like, fucking the late hours. You know?
It's really hard for me, maintain a passion and motivation for my art when the expendable amount of time I have to work on my art like comes after working 40 hours and then dealing with like all of the regular bullshit. Just having that like small gap, like when I finally find a gap of time, I'm already so tired because I've been working so much.
Well, explain what your art is for. Like, what is it that you edit?
Everything. Just I break it down to visuals, imagery, like, and then language and space. Like I love all of those things.
How so language?
language as in writing, and then I also think like the basis to all art is kind of like language. Like what are you communicating through an image? You know, that's like language in its broadest definition.
And what do you mean by space?
Like architecture, like the feeling that space gives you, a certain space when you walk in the room, the ideas that you get from certain rooms and certain structures.
Yeah. What's his name? Gary V, I think, was the one who was super into, like, do your day job. Like, have your day job be your art and have your night job be the thing that makes you money. You know? Like, he preaches that. I think that's an interesting
say
idea.
that again?
Like, having your day job, what you do during the day after you wake up, be the art that you want to pursue. And then the thing that you do at night be the shit job where you have to make the money. Because by that time when you're tired, because you mentioned after your 40-hour-a-week job, you know, it's you worked 8 hours today, now you have to go do this thing that you're passionate about but you're drained.
Yeah.
You know, you probably rather be drained doing that job. Right? Like, don't make that the priority.
Yeah. At the coffee shop I work at now, I had my schedule set up. I don't know why it switched around, and I'm about to switch it back. I was actually thinking about this morning. But basically, I worked 2 to 10 there, you know, and just closed every day, and I was just the store's closer.
Yeah.
And so I was able to, you know, get out at 10, be in bed by 11, and sleeping, and then wake up at like 6, and then I have 6 to 1 p.m. to create art for a couple hours, hit the gym, make myself a healthy meal, like knock everything out and use all of my energy on the things that I care about, making myself better, pushing that. And then by the time I get to work, I'm already drained, but who gives a fuck? Because I'm putting it's just, this is the excess energy I have for the day.
Everybody else is drained there anyway. Like, you're going to be drained at a job you don't like anyway. Why not just be like a little more? Like, what's the difference?
Yeah.
You know? It's like, that's part of the reason why I want to be a bartender. It's because it's a night job.
That's a great thing to do, actually.
Yeah.
But then again, you're getting out at like 2, 3 in the morning, and then you won't be able to wake up till later. Because there's something really weird about my writing. I write my best shit. I edit the best. I do anything I do as far as artistically. It's if I wake up at 4 in the morning and do it, I'm like a genius. Like, oh my god, it's like the ideas are floating through the air at 4 in the morning, and they all go somewhere else by 8.
That's totally true. Every time I've been writing anything, if I wake up to do it, it's so much better. So much better. I've been told that I write really well. I just don't like to do it.
I love writing.
I do it really well. You know, I don't do it very often. I've just been told that I write well, and when I wake up like early in the morning to do it, it's amazing.
It's something about there was an interview or a book I read by Steven Kotler, and it's about flow states.
An interview? Like, you saw him in an interview as well?
I read him in an interview.
What do you mean?
I'm just kidding. Okay.
I was like, dude, what? What like TED Talk shit is that?
You ever read a picture? You know what I'm saying? Okay. I read his book. I think it was something on flow states. Anyway, and it's basically saying how in the mornings, like really early mornings, your prefrontal cortex is turned off, which is kind of I think. I'm totally butchering all the science of the mind.
Yeah, turned off is probably not accurate,
but it's basically like the editor of your brain is not there as much in the morning, and so you're able to just kind of spew out like
it's a part of
uninhibited
like, processes
stuff, which is really what art is. And then you go back in, like after you do that, like so. How I would have it set up. My ideal day, if I was just completely free and didn't work a job, I would do a split sleep cycle. So basically, I would go to bed at midnight and wake up at 4 in the morning. And then I would write for like a couple hours, and then I would go exercise. And so the first couple hours of writing or art would be just this uninhibited creative time. And then I would go work out, and then I would come back, and now the editor of my brain is on, and I would come back and edit everything. and then I would go do a couple more things, and then at noon I would go back to bed, and I would sleep till 4 p.m. And then I would wake up, and I would do that creative, like that, have a second morning, so have another 2-hour segment of art, and then do something else, and maybe work a little bit more on it, but at that point probably put everything away, make a nice meal, and spend the rest of the evening kind of just relaxing, and then at midnight go back to bed.
That's interesting what you say about the prefrontal cortex, like controlling, like it's the part of your brain I know that has the most you in it. Like it's a lot of judgment things, a lot of your tics and all that is kind of registered there. And that's probably why, it's probably the same reason why weed makes people really creative sometimes. Because it fucks with your prefrontal cortex. It lowers its ability. That's why you're not supposed to smoke it until you're like 25.
I don't know about that. Well, but everybody's doing it, so I mean.
Yeah, everybody's doing it. That doesn't mean. Everybody's doing it doesn't mean it's the correct thing.
I know.
Like there's
science. But I want to know if that's actually real. That you're not it actually fucks up your prefrontal cortex.
Well, the majority of scientists who have studied it agree on that. I'm not going to say that.
But I want to hear a scientist say the opposite of that, so I feel good about it.
Yeah, you want to hear the opposite. Yeah.
Just keep studying until you get the answers that I want to hear.
Yeah, I don't believe that everything I've done has been the correct thing. I know that I've definitely done things for my brain that have been wrong. Typically, I try to do the right thing, but I usually accept when it's wrong. And I've seen that most of the scientists agree on that.
But to what extent? Like, how much of a detriment is it taking on your prefrontal cortex? You know what I mean? Like, because
I know that it impedes.
You could take that logic and follow down. Like, I should never ever eat sugar. I should never do this. I should never do that. I should never drink.
You can do that.
And you could just live in this perfect constraints of exactly how you're supposed to treat your body. But that'd be boring as fuck. Or you'd be incredibly happy.
I'm not saying that people shouldn't do it. I'm just saying that what that does is it impedes progress or impedes the movement or the process of the prefrontal cortex.
Well, what does weed actually do? Is it like rewiring your
It does something else.
You're firing, or what does it actually do to inhibit? Or
I watched a video on it once, but it was so long ago. It fills in the cannabinoid receptors in your brain. Yikes, I don't remember. I know that it's in the same, it has a psychedelic effect, which not a lot of people know.
Are psychedelics bad before you're 25?
That I don't know. I hope not. Well fucked. Yeah. It'd be well fucked.
Well, I've only done it once.
I'm just going to have dumb brain.
There's no way. I don't know. When I hold up my ability to do this human thing, next to somebody who doesn't smoke weed, we can do the same shit. There's not really a big
I don't think that's
difference.
exactly the thing that's being said, though. I think the thing that's being said is your own growth of your brain. You can do more with less brain. You can do more with less growth. If you just utilize the brain more. There's a difference between knowing and learning more and having a larger capacity to know more. You can have a really large capacity and not fill it. You can be potentially one of the smartest people ever.
I'm like a 32 gigabyte iPhone, but I'm really well organized.
You just filled it with just got the message popping up all the time, please delete some shit. That shit is so annoying when you fill up an iPhone. It's I get it. Leave me alone.
I've never done it.
Really?
No.
I used to have 8 gigabyte iPhones. And
Why would you do that?
They suck. I had them for the longest time. The only reason I don't now, I have a 32, is just because a friend sold it to me. But before that, I've always had 8. It's the worst thing ever.
When I had my little flip phone, it could only hold 200, 300 messages. So it would just get filled up, and then it would just start, as soon as it started getting filled up, it would just freeze. And
it would just stop
slowly,
working.
Press a button and wait for, it to go into the menu, and then press another button, and it'd be, this 5-second lag before I could actually delete anything.
Yeah. feel like that's happened to me with technology too. Technology can be really shitty at times. My dad hates technology like 99% of the time.
I'm kind of like that. I have this love-hate relationship with it.
Yeah, I feel like it's done so much good.
I really wish. I mean, yeah, absolutely. But
like well above what it's done bad.
So much.
Like well above. And people are like, fuck this. I hate this.
But at the same time, I feel like the things that matter the most in life kind of have degraded because of it. But the things that don't matter as much, like getting your groceries faster or getting somewhere maybe a little bit quicker, have gotten a lot better. But then when you get to the actual place, it degrades.
Well, the actual, like, interaction. Like the spiritual fulfillments in life.
Yeah, degraded on that. We like traded that in for convenience.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to do. I'd rather have it inconvenient, but the experience is cool.
I guess I don't know a life too well without it. Although before, I have a really interesting development in my childhood. When I turned 7, I moved away from Massachusetts, right? But like growing up, that was what I knew. I knew like this kind of rural life, away from people in a big house with my mom and dad, a TV that barely worked.
Yeah, I was on the brink of technology. Like I remember having a PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 and not having I didn't have really a phone till I was like 13.
I didn't have a phone until I was 13.
When I got my phone, like it was a flip phone. I didn't get a smartphone until I was like 16, 17. Mm-hmm. So I was just at the edge of seeing it come into society, and I don't know if because of that I hate it or like there's an objective great reason to hate it.
My dad
like I don't know if I'm being like that old person who's like, fuck this. My
dad's so against technology sometimes.
Why?
Like he's not fully against it, but he's so against it sometimes that like I remember I had an iPod Touch that I had to hide from him. And I taped it to the back of his computer when I would charge it so he wouldn't see it.
That's pretty funny.
And he found it once. He was like, why the fuck do we have an iPod taped to a computer back here? He got like upset.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's like part of the... Did he grow up in America too? Or did he grow up...
He grew up in America, but he was always kind of odd. He grew up in America, but
he doesn't seem American.
He was always like kind of the lone wolf, kind of away from the crowd person. Like he's only kind of recently become social. I think it was kind of because of me.
Really?
You know, and he's not even that social, but he's socialer. He's more social. But yeah, he ran away from America. He went to Mexico. He went to Switzerland. He just like followed whatever kind of took him. He's always had that mentality. I've always kind of had that mentality too, but I think I probably get it from him.
I just want to see what's out there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I think if you grow up in America, for the benefit of America, you're sold that America is the best.
You also lose like an appreciation for life with that. Like my father, I really thank him a lot, the way he raised me, because he like taught me an appreciation for like the finer things. You know?
Finer things being what?
Like scenery and like the beauty of life. Like he really instilled that in me. Like I really want to travel. I really want to do it. And I want to write about it. I want to see things. I want to experience things. And I feel like that comes from something he instilled upon me.
Yeah, I think a general appreciation for those things was just instilled in me too. Just growing up in Montana, like growing up on a farm, and we always did these 24-mile backpacking trips up into the mountains for a few weeks, and me and my friends went camping together. And I remember, like we really didn't get a lot of time in front of the television. It was like Saturday mornings, but if we wanted to do anything, like we couldn't just play video games all the time. We had to go outside and like build shit, which was a lot more fun, use our imagination, you know, not to bag on video games, but like there's other things out there, you know. I think I had a very diverse and eclectic childhood with a bunch of interesting things, and that gave me appreciation for experience.
Yeah, I did as well. I went from one polar to the other polar, like the polar opposite. Like I went from one thing to the polar opposite. I went from like kind of this rural-ish living, completely ignorant to what life really was. You know,
I think that's what childhood is.
Yeah, but like you never taught. I didn't know what a black person was till I was like 9. I didn't know.
There was one black kid in my whole town.
Yeah, I didn't know. I had
His
no
name
idea.
was Aaron, and he was my best friend.
I had actually seen black people before. I just didn't register them in my mind as a kid. So, and I never knew there was a problem. And I left Massachusetts at 7 and went to Florida. And it's literally like life flipped. Like it just went the opposite direction.
Okay, I think I asked you this last time, but I have no idea where Massachusetts is in relation to Florida. I'm terrible at geography.
The opposite direction. So there's northeast and there's southeast. Northeast coast, the uppermost northeast.
Oh, like so it's cold up there.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And then the lower, like the farthest south. Is Florida, but they're both on the East Coast.
What prompted the move?
That's a good question. I think it probably had to do with my mom being sick. Although she stayed. That was one of the big changes in my life. She stayed in Massachusetts for a year.
Why?
I don't know. To take care of the house, I guess, is the thing I've been told. I think there was probably some problems. But I think it was just to take care of the house and make sure that it got sold, but she stayed when my dad left with me.
Really?
Yeah. Work opportunities, healthcare, all of it was kind of just better in Florida.
Really?
Yeah. And then my mom came down a year later, and she then told me she was sick. And, you know, like, life just totally changed. I went from, like, total ignorance to, like, hell.
When did you live in the other country? Did you?
I was a baby when we came over.
Oh, so
I was a baby.
Okay, so most of your childhood was in Florida.
Yeah, I've been back to visit it a couple times. I knew Italian. I don't know it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I was born in Switzerland. Just to put that on
there. Oh, yeah.
Do you know any other languages?
No?
I'm
learning French this year.
Friend of mine is gonna, like, give me dance classes and might also teach me French.
It's gonna give you dance. So is it gonna like teach you French while you're dancing?
She just tells me she knows French.
Oh.
And I'm gonna be like, hey, please, let me learn French.
That's appropriate.
Yeah.
I suppose.
It's a beautiful language.
It's the most beautiful.
I think that and Italian. I think French and Italian are the most beautiful languages. You know what sucks? Spanish.
Why do you say that?
It's such an ugly language to me. I just insulted half of like the entire country.
I mean, in comparison to like
it's so
French.
Ugly. It's so ugly. It's not even close to not being ugly. The only thing uglier is German to me. German is like what
German's
the fuck is that?
German's kind of cool.
German is like it's like stereotypically ugly. Like they knew it while they were making it. Like yep, like they knew what they were doing. But Spanish is like, everyone's like, oh, this is such a beautiful language. It's so smooth. No, it's not. It's choppy. It's like American. It's like English.
I want to know what English sounds like to somebody who doesn't speak English.
There's a video of that on YouTube.
Really?
I'll show you. It's fucking hilarious. They like are kind of speaking, but it's what English sounds like, yeah.
How does English sound like?
It's hard for me to do it.
Well, I mean, like...
It's just a bunch of consonants.
I'm really curious if our language is beautiful to somebody who doesn't speak it.
It's not beautiful to me. I think it's an ugly language. I think Romance languages are pretty. Like...
That's what French is. Man, yeah. I love the ideals that France puts forward. I think I over-romanticize the country. I haven't been there yet, so I might be like...
I definitely do. But I don't
selling
know
myself
sure.
on it. I'm so curious on the rest of the world, man. I'm so curious what's outside of LA.
I would love for France to be what the idea of France is in my mind. I would love for that to happen.
Yeah.
Like, I would love for that to be the city of sexual liberation and, you know, happiness and, not happiness, but romance. Romance. I'd love for that to be the city of romance. Because I don't feel like this is. Like, LA is...
This is the opposite, man.
I wrote
this yesterday. I wrote, the people are copycat here, the art is cookie cutter, and the love is rinse, wash, and repeat.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to fall in love here. Nobody wants to, like, all the art is like, I'm going to copy this other person's art, and that's not art anymore. And the people, as soon as leopard print became popular in this city, man, as soon as leopard print was a trend, everybody wore leopard print. There's no individual here. It's this disgusting mass of whatever is popular.
There's definitely a loss of individualism here. You don't get that as much in New York.
Really?
You don't get it as much in New York. Like, New York is actually full of individuals. That's what I like about New York over LA is the people. There's a lot of things about New York that are awesome. Yeah. But that's the thing, is the people. The people are awesome. If they hate you, they'll hate you.
Really?
Here, if someone hates you, they'll manipulate you. They'll especially if they think you have an area of status. Right? Like, here, people will lead people on. Everyone's trying to get above in power and trying to, you know, kind of nice their way into it. And, you know, I'd love to go to a place like France where I want it to be authentic.
That's all I'm looking for. Like, some realness.
Yeah.
Some real people. It's a really weird thing to say, right? That somebody isn't real. Like, what does that mean? But it just doesn't feel...
Well, that they manipulate people, basically.
When I can have the same conversation over and over again in the city. And, like, people don't have genuine, authentic thoughts here. They're just regurgitating whatever's popular. And everything is regurgitation here. The style is whatever is popular. It's everybody's surfing a trend here.
That's what Vice was. That movie Vice that we saw. That's what it was.
A compilation of nobody's living for themselves.
Yeah, Vice was literally just a regurgitated argument that's like, fuck you.
Yeah. Like,
dude. Christian Bale, by the way, killed that movie. Christian Bale deserves every award for that movie. But what a
no
fucking
originality.
Terrible writing and directing. It's like,
there's no... Dude. And the problem is because there's the money. I think the money is so big in Hollywood that they only want to play it safe.
They can advertise their point. Definitely. A bunch.
What do you mean?
Everyone... Well, I mean, that's all they do is they advertise their point, and then everybody just repeats it. You know?
Yeah. It's just whatever's popular here. Nobody breaks the rules here.
It's like when somebody here says the scumbag, you're supposed to just assume that means Donald Trump. Like, I think that's weird. I think that's weird that you can just say the scumbag and people just assume that's what that means.
Everybody's just agreeing with each other.
Everyone's just agreeing. Nobody's saying why.
Yeah, I love when somebody regurgitates a thought, like, because you can tell when somebody is just dead wood and they're just, you know, saying an idea that's not theirs.
Yeah, and they expect you
to agree with it.
Agree with it. That's why they say it with such bluntness.
It's not even conversation anymore. It's something else.
Yeah, it's not like there's no room for debate in what you're saying. There's no room for thought there. You're spitting out some shit you heard. Like, this happened to me yesterday. I forget what it was. There was like some... Oh, yeah. There was this woman who came up to me at my job. And I asked her, like, what movie did you see? You know, she had just seen a movie. And she was like this old white lady. And she was like, I saw If Beale Street Could Talk. I said, I don't know what that movie is. The advertising did not give it away, which is a good thing. Could you explain it to me? And she said...
Oh, that's what you meant by the advertisements give it away. Like the trailers tell the whole movie? Is that what you're talking about? Or?
Well, no. I'm talking about people advertise their points here. Like in movies, for instance. Like Vice was one big political argument that was just totally biased. Like, people are able to put out their views on the media here. and spin it as fact, and then everyone here will just regurgitate it. You know.
Okay.
So she saw if Beale Street could talk.
Don't you think that's everywhere though, all the time?
I think it happens more in LA.
Really?
Much more. Yeah. But this lady, she's telling me about this movie. I told her I didn't know about it. She told me it's a follow-up to a movie called I'm Not Your Nigger, right? And I was like, okay, tell me about that. And she was telling me about how it's this movie. And this is what she said to me. She said something like, it explains what black people are in this country. They're nothing. And I was like, what? Like, in my mind, I was like, what? What do you mean? They're nothing? Like, you're telling me that in this entire country, you actually believe that in this entire country, every single black person is treated as nothing? Like, really?
Yeah.
You know, she's regurgitating this thing she heard in a movie, she
Mhm.
didn't research, that she just expects me to agree with, because that's the view here, you know? And I'm supposed to go, shake my, oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely. Every black person's a victim. Yes. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
It's not true. It's not true. I have a lot of black friends who say, like, that's not true. Raleigh is one of them.
Raleigh is dumb as fuck.
He's an awesome guy, man. And he's totally against that. He was against Vice, too.
Which was really cool. I think maybe we're just spoon-fed opinions and take them in as fact.
Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of discrimination, though. There's a lot of
Oh,
discrimination.
of course.
But let's make a distinction between discrimination and everybody's treated as nothing, and then that just has to be the accepted worldview. You know?
Well, I think it's somewhere in the spectrum of like there are wrongs done to that segment of people. Like there is any like that minority of people, they are discriminated against, but like 100%, like if a black person fails, in my opinion, you cannot blame their failure 100% on the, like the structure of the hierarchy here and how it puts down like black people.
Yes.
Like there's still a personal responsibility of hard work, and I do think it's gonna be a little bit harder, but I do think that they're still responsible for their success at the same time. Like it's somewhere in the spectrum of like victimization and personal responsibility.
It's a really good example of what you just said. The Jewish community used to be, at one time, I forget, somewhere in the 1900s, I think like the mid-1900s, 40s or 50s, they were like the minority, poor, lived in hoods.
Really?
Really, no joke. They went from like the poorest in the U.S., next to probably black people, up to the richest, owning all the real estate. That's why Jay-Z's always rapping about them, because he's like, look at how these fucking crazy people came to power.
Yeah.
You know?
It's the values that a people put forward.
Yeah, exactly. They took charge. Nobody's going to be able to do it for you. You have to stop being treated as victims. I'm against the idea of treating people
not treated as victims, thinking of yourself as a victim.
Thinking of themselves as victims.
And then putting that forward, like that's.
But not only that, also everybody else thinking they're a victim, because then they're going to get treated
and then
different
it's just
anyway.
Encouraged.
It's encouraging you to spoon feed people.
Like you're telling yourself a lie, and then everybody else is saying that lie you're telling yourself is, right.
Yeah, it's not right. I mean, it's insane. There's a lot of discrimination. However, there was discrimination against the Jews too. And the difference is that Jewish people have a guidebook. They have a set of rules, they have a set of morals. And they kind of banded together.
A code.
They have a code. And they banded together, and within, let's say 10 years, I don't know how long, they owned the U.S. They went from the poorest to the richest.
Yeah.
It was them who did it.
Yeah, I mean, I could make an example out of my own life and say that, like, man, I had such a hard childhood and my parents didn't help me out, this and that. But at the same time, man, there's been some times where I just spent my money the way I shouldn't have. I could have been saving all this time. I shouldn't have gone out and done this or bought this. And, like, there's a good degree of, like, owning where I am because of me is, like, a huge thing. And realizing that where I'm going to be in the future is also because of me and how I move.
Absolutely.
And of course there's, like, the ambiguity of life. There's going to be certain things that I can't control, like maybe my car is going to explode and things like that. But at the end of the day, the majority of, like, I have the ability to push and to save and to do the things that I don't want to do that make my life better.
It's good to rely on other people a little bit, but you the only way you can pull yourself up is on your own bootstraps. When I was 12, my mother died. My grades were like straight Fs. I had like 1.3 freshman year of high school. No joke, I had a 1.3.
I had a pretty low GPA by the end, yeah.
I couldn't join the football team because my GPA was so low.
Yeah.
Like, everything was wrong. Everything. I was fat little kid. They were trying to get me into therapy. And I finally kind of just went like, I don't want to be in a room full of people who are depressed because their parent died. I don't want to be spoon-fed everything. You don't think I can do this alone? Watch me do this. And, I lost weight. In sophomore year, I pulled my grades up from a 1.3 to a 3.0.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep for like the last month of sophomore year.
Yeah.
Like virtual school, regular school, and a job. I moved to LA. I pursued acting. I just finished my first play. I've gone through all the classes. I've been living here on my own. I'm doing fine, but I did it myself. I relied on other people a little bit. I spoke to people. When I needed people, I talked to people, but I pulled myself up. People need to do that. But
you were the one who talked to people.
I was the one who talked to people.
Yeah.
People didn't have to come to me and grab me by the collar and pull me up. And people need to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Change will not happen.
Yeah, man. I remember my mom definitely doing the same kind of thing where she would act like, she wouldn't ask if I was depressed or sad. She would tell me that I'm depressed. And she would just feed me certain things like that. And everybody was telling me who I should be, how I should act, how I should talk. There's all this sort of like input, not even lifting, I guess not, it doesn't entirely equate to lifting yourself up by your bootstraps, but it's this like constantly getting told that you're down and that these things happen to you. Because my brother died when your mom died, like, which was like same boat kind of, I had, and with the divorces and the money problems and everything that happened in my childhood, I have plenty of material to play the victim. And I kind of just said, fuck that one day. Like, I just got so fed up with people telling me who I was, and so fed up with people trying to narrate my life and who I should be, that I said, like, fuck all of this shit. Like, fuck you guys. Yeah. And I kind of just manipulated my parents a little bit and got out of this situation of living with them and went out on my own. And I was like, this is my life. I know what I'm doing. I know where my aim is, and I tell myself who I am. I take responsibility and I get in the saddle of my own life. And this is how it's going to be till I die. Nobody tells me who I am. Nobody tells me what to do. This is my rodeo.
When did you move out here? You were 16, you said?
Yeah.
That's young.
Yeah.
What did you do when you came out to LA?
I didn't move out to LA when I was 16. We moved out to Sacramento, California. My whole family did when I was like 15. And so I went from like a little tiny school in Montana, like 120 kids in the high school or something like that. Like nobody, like so tiny.
Public school?
Yeah, public school. Well, the town I lived in only had 3,000 people in it. Which is probably as many people in this complex right here.
Yeah. In this complex has 12 to 15,000 people.
So
Just in this
the town that I lived in was, 3 times smaller than this complex.
That's fucking hilarious.
So I went from a high school with 120 kids in it to a big high school in San Juan, super duper ghetto. We moved out there because my dad worked in the oil fields over in North Dakota or something like that, and they transferred him over here so we could all kind of be a family, because what he was doing was commuting from Montana to North Dakota and staying out there for months at a time and sending money back to us, and that just got really hard on the family. So they transferred him out here, and we were kind of like a family together out here for a little bit. I was going to that ghetto school, and then he got a DUI, and he was a truck driver for the company, so he lost everything. We went on unemployment. It got really rough for that 6-month period of time. Like when I turned 16, like the 6 months prior to me running away were just rough, man. Like I remember having money from like doing like wedding gigs as a photographer. My mom just taking all of it out of my account to use it to do God knows what. I remember not having enough clothes. I remember, and it was just a weird, rough time. Like my dad was on unemployment. And
how old were you at that time?
I was 16, so I just turned 16.
Oh.
And I got a job at Vans at that time, and then transferred out of the incredibly ghetto school to this high school called Bella Vista, and I was there for like 6 months while working at Vans and just dealing with the family shit. It was a really rough time for my family too, because we had adopted 2 Chinese girls, and one of their names is Ruthie, and she's this brilliant little girl, my little sister, and she's funny and smart. But the other one is Leah, and she's autistic and like pretty severely, and so she would have screaming fits. And so there was like no peace in the house whatsoever, like for a 6-month period of time. And even before that, when like every night, man. So the house would be filled with these like blood curdling screams, and my mom would be trying to calm her down. Dad's on like unemployment. It was a weird time. And then plus prior to, like, they were already having kind of marriage problems, and my brother had passed away from cancer a few years before that when I was 13. So like, yeah, I had a lot going on in my head. Plus being a kid from Montana, and this like a white kid in Montana going to this extremely like ghetto, like all black and Mexican school, and trying to fit in with like like I'm a skinny white kid, like I'm not gonna fit in with these kids. And so it was a weird time. And 6 months went by, and I kind of scrambled and fought and got in with like, I was working at like a church, or not really working, but like doing films and photography for this really big church out there. And I had a friend group, and I started doing like little wedding gigs and shooting shows and stuff like that, I think, just using my mom's camera equipment. And got to about, it was literally the 4th of July. Everything had just digressed. My parents, I think, lost the house or something like that. They always kind of kept everything in the dark. And I was working a shift at Vans on 4th of July, and my dad calls. He didn't call my phone, he called the Vans store. So I pick up the phone, like, Vans, this is Jesse or whatever, and he said, hey, we're moving back to Montana. And
oh shit.
But it wasn't like in a few weeks, it was like tonight. So
what the fuck? Really?
So they packed up all of my things, and I remember like crying in the back of the van store and freaking out.
Yeah, I would too, man.
Because they said I didn't get to say goodbye to any of my friends or anything, like nothing. Like they picked me up from the shift. Like I went into Vans thinking I was still gonna be living in California, and I walked out, and like they picked me up with the trailer attached to the car, and
fucking
so it was just done. And we started driving back to Nevada. I'm calling all my friends. I'm like, hey, I'm going back to Montana, yada, yada, yada. And I had one of the strongest gut feelings I've ever had in my entire life. Like, that I needed to be here. Like, there was nothing comparable to it. And we're driving back, and I'm begging them, like, I hate this. I don't want to go. I'm super down. There's a girl that I had a crush on at the time, and we had, like, I don't know, things were going well with her, so that factored in. Everything factored into it. Like nothing, there was nothing back there for me. Exactly.
Yeah.
I had like friends back in Montana that I of course loved and missed, but at the end of the day, I knew that my future was here, and if I was going to go back to Montana for another 2 years with this family situation, I would, who knows what would happen, but I knew it wasn't good, you know. Um, and so we got to Nevada. We stayed the night in a hotel over in Reno, I think. And then when we left Reno, I still had this gut feeling. And so that's when I think I kind of like, my dad was almost, I don't know. I don't know what my dad was thinking at the time, but I know for a fact that, so we had a trailer and an SUV, right? And so my dad was driving one, my mom was driving the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I did was tell my dad, like, hey, I really, really want to go back and just tie up my job and say goodbye to my friends for 2 weeks. Like, please just let me do that. And then he kind of said no to it, and I think my mom was kind of saying that things wouldn't work out between them if they let me stay, because they knew that I knew that they knew that they or I wanted to stay, and they like for good, and they knew that. But I was basically pitching it to them like, I'm just gonna go back for 2 weeks, you know, and so they were saying no to that, and so I started manipulating them. I said to my dad like, hey, mom is kind of okay with it and cool with it, and then I'd hop over to my mom's car and be like, hey, dad said it's okay. He just wants to make sure it's okay with you. And eventually, like, they kind of gave in after me begging like 100 miles through the desert.
Mm-hmm.
And they finally dropped me off with my bags at a McDonald's in Lovelock, Nevada. And I told them I had $300 in my bank account to buy a plane ticket back in a couple weeks, and like, everything was all good. And
did you even have the money in your bank account?
I had $10 and a change of clothes. And so they keep driving. They leave me at this McDonald's in Lovelock, Nevada. There's literally like a McDonald's, a town hall, and a gas station. And then I call my sister's boyfriend. He comes up and picks me up. I like wait at this McDonald's for like 8 hours just by myself. And he drives me back. We get lobster in Reno on the way back, and finally get over to California. And my sister lived in the city at the time. So my sister, and she was older, she was 30. So she gave me a couch to crash on, and I borrowed a bike from some friends, and I went and I quit Vans and got a job at Starbucks, and waited like 2 weeks, and called my mom, my dad, and said, I'm not coming back, period. And they flipped out. They called every high school in all of Sacramento and told them not to let me sign up. And so there's this huge fucking legal battle for me to get into school. I was forging documents. I was scrambling. I found some homeless kid law and took it to because all high schools said no to me when I went in to sign up. And I went to the next level and they said no. And then I went to the next level, and I finally got to like the district manager of all of the schools, or whatever his title was. And he found this homeless law and called my mom while I was in the office, and my mom started screaming at him. But he's like, I'm sorry, I have to let him go to school here. Your kid cannot, like, your kid needs to go to school, And so my parents were too broke to come and get me anyway, and so I kind of like won, and I was like, fuck yeah. So I got to sign up and go to Granite Bay High School, because I was just on the district line for Granite Bay High School. And Granite Bay High School is one of the richest high schools in, like, definitely Sacramento, but maybe in America. And so I had this weird transition where I went from like being homeschooled as a kid to a public school in Montana with 120 kids, to the most ghetto school, to a middle class school, to now the richest school in America, or like in at least Sacramento. But while I'm going to the richest school, I'm on a bike crashing on the floor of an apartment working at Starbucks.
How did you get that apartment situation?
My sister got a small lease right when, so I crashed on her couch probably for a couple months, and then she signed a lease for a 2-bedroom apartment. But basically the deal was she was not going to parent me or baby me at all. She just paid enough of the rent so that I could survive with Starbucks. And basically I just crashed on the floor in there and saved up for a mattress, and then a dresser, and then a $700 Camry, and then a camera. And then after a while there, after that lease was up, I moved out officially. I was probably like 17 or 18 at the time, and crashed on my friend's couch over in Citrus Heights. And then we got an apartment together, and that whole time I grinded my ass off, man. I sold drugs. I worked 2 jobs while I was in high school just to get by, and I was just struggling and buggling with the fucking photography shit, and knew that this is what I wanted to do, and I knew I wanted to get out to LA, and I just kept pushing. So much crazy shit happened over the last 4 years. That was just the entrance into me struggling for the last 4 years. Like, that was just me running away. And then the last 4 years, there's so many crazy stories about the last 4 years.
Fucking wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's such a transition.
I know. I've literally experienced so many pockets of life because of
That's
it.
an insane, like, coming up story.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you went to all those schools, too.
It's
like,
really
the
interesting.
dichotomy.
Yeah, dynamic. Like, it's just
schools.
so weird. Like, I got to see so many groups of people.
Wow. Shit. I went to a few different schools, but I don't not like that. That's crazy, man. What about the last 4 years? Like you said, that was just the start.
That was just the start. It's a lot to jump into, but like, maybe I'll save all of those experiences for another time, because it's like exhausting. But I just know that, like, over the last 4 years, just to like breeze over some experiences, I don't know, I became a man. Like, I did what I had to do to survive while I was in high school. My friend started this dispensary that was like legally in the gray area. Like, it really wasn't legal. Like, if we got caught, we were fucked. And we just...
There were a lot of things like that back when we was starting to become legal here.
Yeah.
There were a lot of those.
He started one of those, and so we were just selling weed out of his house. We had...
Like, the delivery services were totally...
That's what we did. That's what I was doing.
That's totally, like...
It was definitely
now
illegal.
It's okay.
It's okay now, but it was
like,
illegal when I was doing it.
Back when it was medical...
Oh, it was just
delivery was totally illegal. And there were so many fucking delivery services, bro.
I was just a straight up drug dealer.
Yeah,
like, that's
you
what
know
it was.
how much weed I had delivered? Like, I never went to a dispensary. I've been to a dispensary twice.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I've always had weed delivered. And 98% of the time, I was totally illegal.
It's totally legal.
And the guy who was delivering it was a fucking drug dealer.
I know.
The guy who was delivering it is like...
Literally, the day I turned 18, I got the job at the dispensary, right? And I'm like an 18-year-old kid who goes to Granite Bay High School, and then I get off, I probably get off at like 2, and then I go to Starbucks, and I work at Starbucks till 10 p.m., and then I get off, and then it's a 24-hour delivery service, so I'm literally in high school working...
Like, 24 hours.
Literally, I get off at Starbucks and I deliver weed till 3 in the morning. And I'm doing that like 5-6 days a week, bro. Just to survive. And then I'm doing my homework in the hallways and just barely getting by and barely just surviving. And then whenever I have free time, it's all towards photography. Like, I remember on my breaks at Starbucks, I'd bring this shitty laptop that was literally meant for sending emails. And I'd be editing photos and videos in the back on my breaks, like non-stop, straight fucking just grind, always.
Were you just selling weed?
Yeah, just weed. There was no other like harder drugs.
I sold drugs in Florida.
Did you sell like hard drugs too?
Yeah. I sold drugs in Florida to build up the money to come here, and I
Dunga, a gunga dunga, a dunga chunga, a guga dunga, a guga bunga, a dunga chunga, a lunga dunga.
where are you? And I'm so sorry. Hello, Buddha. Thank you for being my guest today. It's really good to finally talk to you. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Word. Yeah, I feel you. It's cool. Well, hey, man, thank you for coming on today. It's been really an honor talking to you. I feel like I should fill this space with noise. Maybe I won't. I'm just gonna. This is a meditation break. Hey, baby, won't you look my way? I could be your new addiction.
My dick was just out.
I peed for so long.
You did. You peed for a while.
I'm just standing there.
Coffee does that to people. It does that. This is my second cup, so I'm probably gonna have to pee again.
It's all good.
You know,
It's all good.
it's all good.
This is what you have to do as a human on this planet.
You gotta pee. A lot.
It's
I peed
annoying.
like 19 times during work yesterday.
Whoa!
Well, I jumped rope and I went in the sauna, so I
Oh.
was just drowning myself with water afterwards.
Yeah, sometimes I get
That's
worried.
wait a minute.
Like,
That's what drowning is.
you could drown yourself with other things, like other liquids.
Yeah, but it's all water.
What do you mean?
Every liquid is just water with something mixed into it.
Really? I'm trying to think of one that's not.
They're all water.
Really, everyone?
Yeah, it's just flavored water.
There's
Every
nothing-
liquid is just flavored water.
Ah, fuck. It's gotta be milk.
Water. It's water. With,
Damn it.
Everything that's moist is just water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Water's like the base ingredient of it all.
Base ingredient of like everything, basically.
Yeah. Shouts out to water.
Shout out to water, man. Yeah, I sold drugs.
Oh yeah, I wanted to hear about that. You sold
I
the
sold drugs in
heavy
Florida.
ones.
Well, I shouldn't have done it. Like I should have just like jerked off on camera without showing my face. It's legitimately an argument. Not an argument, but like a conversation I had with easily one of my best friends.
Dunga, agunga chunga.
We were sitting at a cigar bar. We used to go there like once a week.
That sounds nice.
Dude, nicest cigar bar I've ever been to. So nice.
Mhm.
So classy. The only thing I liked in Florida was that cigar bar. We go there like once a week. We'd sit down. We'd talk. And I went to him, but I said to him, I need money. Like, I need money. I need to move to LA. I can't stay here.
Yeah.
And he's like, do what I did. And he oh shit. I said his name. I'm incriminating.
It's okay.
Well, he jerked off. And he didn't show his face on camera.
He did. I thought you were gonna say he's a drug dealer.
No, he jerked off on camera. He's like, do what I did. And I was like, really? Do that? We should probably cut his name out. I was like,
What's
that.
his name again? I was just kidding.
And I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe I'll do that. Or, alternatively, I could sell drugs.
There's so many other ways to make money.
There was those two things. It was the only two things I could come up with at that moment. That was it. Like, that was it. That was a split roads. And I remember I had, like, this moral decision. Jerk off on camera or sell drugs. And I was like, I'm going to sell drugs. I should have taken the other route. But...
no, I respect the drug dealing route.
What happened was I got a bunch of drugs. I sold Xanax, cocaine.
How'd you get these drugs in the first place?
The coke is a crazy story. The coke is an insane story. That's like the guy who sold me coke was his uncle had worked with El Chapo. He got out of Mexico on like a shootout when he was 14. Guy was fucking crazy. And the stuff he gave to me was like yellow. It was pasty. It was fucking like pure cocaine. He got it from out in the boondocks halfway to Miami. This guy was insane. And we traded.
It's never like a guy that's like Kyle and he has 2 kids and he drives a mid-range sedan. Well, maybe those are the smart drug
Those
dealers.
are the smarter ones. That was like me. You know?
Oh yeah, true.
I was a smart one. I was like
if I was a drug dealer again, I would just drive a Prius. I would keep a small job, like I'd work at Starbucks still, like 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
But I would have like a drug empire.
A lot of people do that.
Super nerdy.
A lot of people do that. When I met this guy, right, I met him based off of somebody else who knew him from like work. And I sent him a text, and he sent me a long paragraph back, a long one, saying, if you're FBI, you and your entire family will die. They will be killed. I was like, what? Is that real? You know, I was like,
that feels like kind of incriminating in itself. Like if he said that, like if you were actually FBI, that's not what I would say to you.
that yeah, I don't know
retarded.
if he was high. I don't know what it was, but when I met him, he was high as shit.
Really?
He was so high.
Really?
He was so messed up.
Yeah.
I was able to take control of that situation, but yeah, I sold all those things. I really shouldn't have done it, but I gained the money to come here, right?
How long did it take you to sell enough money or sell enough drugs to
I
get
only
enough
did it for
money?
like 4 or 5 months.
Really?
I didn't do it for that long.
Did you see that like progressing and you getting like a bigger and bigger and bigger?
Absolutely.
Just easy like that, isn't it?
Well, especially
Sucks
because
you
of
in.
the type of coke I had. Like
Yeah.
nobody had that.
Oh, your plug, yeah.
Like that was really strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't cut it. Like I hardly cut it if I did. Which means it was so like people would. Anyway, I probably made the most money off of the Xanax though. Because the cocaine I didn't upcharge that much, and
Really?
people don't buy that much of it. Xanax people get a bunch of. Anyway, I did that.
What's even the Xanax is kind of just really relaxing, right? Like a
Xanax is a sedative, yeah. Yeah. Well, it also makes people get turned into bartards. Like it really fucks your brain, Xanax, especially in high doses. You know, people start to not know how to speak.
like
really
permanently.
Like permanently.
Fuck.
Like it starts in the immediate when you take it, but then it becomes
Is that why
permanent.
like a lot of those rappers
Probably.
talk,
Oh,
like,
probably.
so slow?
Yeah, and they're always talking about taking lean and Xans and shit. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
listen, man, that's like bragging about.
Like, yeah, they don't know how to talk.
It's like bragging about banging your brain against a rock, or banging your head against a
Banging
rock.
your brain against a
Well,
rock.
same thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, and liking the effect of it being cool. But then you're like, listen, man, you still got like 60 more years on this planet.
Yeah.
Do you really want to be this
just
slow,
suffering.
dumb motherfucker with a lot of money? Sure.
Dumb brain.
Maybe a lot of money.
Maybe a lot of money.
Maybe.
That might run out really quickly once
Yeah,
you
because you
don't have your
spending
rap empire.
$80,000 on chains. And
Once
stuff.
the style of music changes and you no longer have anything.
Which it will.
J. Cole was talking about that in his album.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah,
He's
it
like,
wasn't even. They took it as disses, but it wasn't a diss.
That's
It was
not
just-
a diss. That's like, dude, that's good advice.
It was advice.
As soon as
You
the
can't-
money run up,
That's the thing. Is you can,
one day those kids who listen to you gonna grow up and that all that money's gonna run up. Like you're not gonna have that fucking
Yeah.
money. You're gonna be sad because you went and got that car instead of a house. You did not know what the fuck to do, and you're gonna be dumb.
If I had that money, when money comes my way, I'm treating that stuff so intelligently.
You got to.
I'm gonna take the Jewish principles. I don't give a fuck if anybody thinks I'm rich. Nobody will know I'm rich. I'll walk into a bank and I'll look like Joe Schmo.
Jay-Z's intelligent. He went from being a drug dealer who had a fucking double barrel aimed at his face
Yeah.
to being like the first
I got a gun pulled on
musician
me
who was
once,
a
too.
billionaire. Really?
Yeah.
I had a gun pulled on me.
Really?
Once. Yeah.
Me, you, and Z all have such similar, like, dark pasts.
Yeah.
But nobody would guess.
I had a gun pulled on me here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it was while I was dealing. It's
It
why.
wasn't while I was dealing.
I went to the wrong house. I got sent the wrong address. There's one house over, and I knocked on this, like, and this black guy pulled a rifle on me.
When I stopped dealing, I stopped because somebody offered to do a hit for me.
Wait, say that again?
Somebody offered to show up, like somebody told me they'd run up on somebody for me. No fucking joke. And I was like, I should probably stop doing this.
This is weird.
This is
This
like,
got a little weird.
yeah, like I have
Surreal.
the power now to like, I've been doing this for 4 months.
It's the Sicilian.
Yeah.
I can smell
Like,
it.
what the fuck?
And like, this guy has drug dealing and gangster and mafia
Yeah.
shit in his fucking genetics.
The black Italians.
That's what, yeah.
Fuck,
what
dude,
it
it's
is.
weird.
That
It
made
was
me feel
so
pretty
weird.
good when I heard that fact. Like, that Sicilians are kind of like just the gangster Italians,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's a thing.
Yeah, it's absolutely a thing. Northern Italians fucking hate them. They hate them. The
I don't know
Northern
why.
Italians hate the Southern Italians.
Hmm.
You know, there's a lot of conflict.
I'll probably
there.
end up there one day, over in Sicily.
I'd love to go. The only thing I know about it is from watching that scene in The Godfather, and it's like my favorite scene in The Godfather. When he's just
go off of
walking
that.
through it.
Go off
and it's
that
like,
one fact.
But
Definitely live there, man. Definitely thinking. I'm definitely moving to Europe.
yeah,
This is one of. I want to be able to still have a podcast in Europe, though.
yeah.
Like do a lot of the things I do here over in Europe, but I think I can.
Well, you can. We're gonna branch off, make 2 different ones.
Yeah,
I guess I'll just keep this one. You know.
that's good. Drug dealing. You said something.
Well,
about
more
drug
so
dealing.
to the process of me moving here.
Yeah.
I had gained a certain amount of money. I had a bit of money from my mom dying. She left me an inheritance.
Really.
Not much, but a good amount to move anyway.
You had that debt though, right?
And I didn't have debt yet.
Oh, really?
I
When
did
you
not
get that?
yet have debt. I accrued it when I came to LA.
Mm,
It's a whole different story.
yeah.
And I had this money now, and I was ready to come to LA. So I put down a hold on an apartment. I put down a security deposit on an apartment bordering Koreatown and downtown. And I was ready to move. I had gotten my plane ticket. It was like 2 weeks or a week before I was about to leave. And I was at the dentist, I remember, and my uncle like called me or texted me and he said, "You can't move there. You can't go there. It's a terrible neighborhood. You could be killed. You can't go there." And my dad then called me and said, "Hey, your Uncle Tony just told me you can't go, and you shouldn't go." And I remember I was so upset, and I was gonna lose the money on the security deposit. I was gonna lose the money on my plane ticket, and I remember just being so upset that my next progression of thought, because this was always my idea of what I was going to do anyway, was to flee the country, was to run away,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to go kind of like live with monks, like in a monastery. I thought, how do I do that realistically? And I went, I remember that somebody told me that when you travel around the world, one of the good ways to do it is by using Airbnb.
Yeah.
So I downloaded this app, Airbnb, before it was like a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I opened up the app, and I was about to book a place in Sicily.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to start in Sicily. And I had my finger like hovering the book button. I was about to do it. And then I went, wait a minute. If I can do this to go to anywhere in the world, why don't I just go to an Airbnb in Los Angeles?
Mm-hmm.
And so then I pressed the back button. I found a place in LA. 14, 15 people, bunk bed, hostel. Nice area. It's right around the corner from here.
Really?
It was right by the Beverly Center.
Hmm.
And I did it. And I
I'll
booked
check
that.
it out.
And I came that close to just like running away for like 6 months.
Still think you should.
Yeah, I still might do it, but I have a lot that I've built up.
The only reason I'm here is because of the art industry.
Yeah.
But if I can do what I'm doing here somewhere else, like going to school in Europe, it's so much cheaper. It's borderline free.
Borderline free, yeah.
Like, so
Depending where in Europe.
I would have to pinch my pennies and struggle and grind so hard to do it here and go to like a measly school here, like not even one that I liked, or I could go to some place with beautiful architecture, beautiful cobblestone streets, good espresso, beautiful women, it's just a different world over there,
That's how I think about France. That's how Italy is. I love that the way the advertising is. Like, have you been?
No.
No?
I've just seen a lot of pictures and read a lot on it.
Fucking love Italy. And I love Portugal. Like, it's crazy because it's like everything's different. Everything's different. The advertising's different. There's like tits on television.
Really?
Yeah, it's like everything, and people are open about it, bro. Like it's not like closed off like here. People aren't afraid.
I think it's like
People aren't
the
scared.
Christian values that this country was started on. It's very conservative.
Very conservative.
There's not a lot of freedom in it, and then it goes so against my personality and my outlook on the world that I just clash with, a lot of the things that this society is about.
People are suppressed here. Definitely.
Very suppressed. Everything's suppressed here, man. Your thoughts, your actions.
I remember I saw like I went to like a food court in a mall, and me and my dad picked up these trays, and on the tray was like a picture of this. It was like a healthy food thing, in the mall. It was this picture of this gorgeous like woman and like a form-fitting like onesie.
Yeah.
And you could see like her tits, like it was
Okay.
showing through. And I was like, cool.
Yeah.
Like cool that that's being advertised as something you want to. I think it's a weird thing when people say unusual beauty standards. It's like, what do you mean? Those people worked their whole life to get there. That's why they're on the magazine. Like, they should be on the magazine. Did you see the fucking Cosmopolitan recently? With the really, really fat woman?
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Really weird.
That doesn't make sense to me. Like, she didn't work at all to get that. She stuffed her face with Twinkies for a long time. And that shouldn't be accepted. It should be accepted, but it shouldn't be forwarded as
I don't like the way we think about the world here.
I think you should have a society that promotes health, that promotes beauty, that promotes art. I think that's what you should have in a society. And we should have a society
that promotes something. Our society right now, it's kind of feels like we're just going in circles. Like there's no values here. Almost. Or the values here are just existentially not, what's the word? Rewarding. Like it feels like bullshit. I don't want to work my whole life for things. I don't give a fuck about things.
It depends what the work is.
Yeah, the work, I definitely like the work. That's what I think the main thing is even the work though is just bullshit here sometimes, it feels like. Like for fashion photography, for example, like I got in with like an agency when I first got here, and it wasn't about the art here. Like the art industry here isn't about art, it's about work, it's about money. The agency I was with was like, how many images can you produce in a day? What's going to sell the most? Which image is going to sell the most? It was like all they talked about all day was money, and like the movies here kind of feel like which one is going to be this cookie cutter thing that everybody eats up and it sells the most. It's like it's all around. It doesn't feel like it's about art anymore. It doesn't feel like it's about the bigger picture. It just feels like we bought into this consumerism money game so much that we forgot what actually matters.
Depends. Like you do have real art that comes out, but it
Yeah.
also gets mixed in with a lot of the opposite,
Bullshit.
the exact opposite.
Yeah, I'm not saying that there's just not art here.
Like Spider-Man was art.
Oh, it's beautiful. I fucking love that.
That was such a good
The
fucking
Spider-Verse,
The
yeah.
Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse. Baby Driver was art.
Great.
Vice was like the opposite.
But
Half the movies that come out
I
are
guess
the
it's-
opposite.
is that just how it's always been? I just feel like there's more noise now
You have
than
this
ever.
industry that,
Like now, like of course that's always how it's been. There's always been like a skew. There's always going to be bad art or bullshit. But right now, I feel like the ratio has slimmed for good art, and there's so much bullshit and noise now. It's like you have to just sift, and there's
I don't
just
know
a lot
what
of
it used
noise.
to be like, just because I didn't used to be here. It might have always
Same.
been like that.
Same, yeah.
It might have always been like that.
Yeah.
See, what's interesting?
Maybe we're getting sold the past like it was something else.
Yeah. What's interesting is this industry, just all of the arts, it promotes fakeness a lot, and it promotes money making and all those things. However, it also attracts people who are authentic and real. And it almost feels like chance when a bunch of those people happen to fall into the same
Yeah.
project. But when a bunch of those people fall into the same project is like, holy shit.
It's fucking amazing.
Wow. You
But
know?
it's so hard to, I don't know, man. I just haven't found it. I haven't seen it. I haven't been here long enough either.
I've worked with a couple of people who I felt were authentic. I've had the liberty, I guess, to work with a few people who I've truly felt were serious about what they were doing. I think Raleigh, when I worked with him, and when I have talked to him about it, he's serious about it, and he wants it to be good, and he wants it to be authentic.
Authentic.
James Fowler, my musical theater coach,
Yeah.
he was Scar on Broadway. I mean, he really has some acclaim to his name.
Mhm.
He is incredible, and he's serious, and he wants it to be true. But there's a lot of people I've worked with who are not that, which is part of the reason why I wanted to move to New York, and I might still be moving to New York, because New York has more authentic people. You're going to work with more people like that. I've had the pleasure, I guess, to work with some of those people. I want to work with more, or at least work with them again.
Yeah, I definitely want to check out New York. I would probably really like that place. We'll see what happens though.
Like, I have the pleasure to sit and talk with you about these things.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you're real.
You know,
Like I definitely
you do
have met.
find it.
I definitely have met a handful of people.
Yeah.
But the handful of people that I meet that are real here all talk about how fake this place is.
Yeah, it gets overshadowed.
You know?
It gets
Like,
overshadowed.
there's
but what I'm
definitely-
saying is there's a huge amount of fakeness, but it also attracts people who don't want to be fake and who want to change it,
Yeah.
right? And you have to sift through the bullshit.
Well, that's the main
So
thing
they're
I'm
there.
looking to discover this year is if that's how every single city and every place is.
Mm.
Or this is just, there's a majority of people here who are just kind of whack and crazy.
That's what the musical Hamilton is about.
Really?
Yeah, the musical Hamilton, which I saw at Pantages, thanks to my uncle. It's like the best play I've ever seen. It's about this guy who thinks he can change the world, thinks he is of high intelligence, has done a certain amount of work to get to the city of New York.
Hmm.
But he doesn't have anything. And he's in an area with a bunch of people who don't want to do anything and want to stick to the standards and don't want to speak up. And that's symbolized by the character Burr.
Mhm.
Aaron Burr. However, he like basically walks into a bar one night and finds a group of a few people and says to them, like, you guys are real. You know, it's all expressed through song, but he says to them, you guys are real. You know, the city doesn't have that. But you guys are here, and you're real, and you want to do what I want to do. And if all of us can get together, our unified mind can change the way it works. And that's literally what happened. That's what happened, and that's what created America. It's like a few guys just kind of got together.
Yeah.
Because they saw that they were authentic and they knew what they were going for.
I think there's a lot of power in that.
There's a lot of power in that.
Like, there's a lot of power in one guy trying to change shit, but if you got a small group of highly intelligent people, or not average intelligent people, you know, trying to do one thing, you know, it's a lot more possible.
Look at the Beatles. Like, look at how they changed music. It's like a group of dudes. You think one of those dudes could have did that? No, all four of them, but they were the same person.
Yeah.
You know? And they just made this, they fucking did this wave.
Yeah.
They came from this group of guys who probably sat down and went, oh, we got this figured out. We can do this.
Yeah, so I guess it's just, maybe it's a little bit about finding your humans, the people who think like you and want to actuate the same change, and then getting together with them and
I've managed to
figuring
get
out.
Together a good little group of people.
Little squad.
I think Raleigh is one of them.
Definitely.
I think you're one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think my friend Tori is one of them.
Yeah.
I think my friend Anthony is another one of them.
Yeah.
Like this group of people, this tiny little group, they think differently and they want to do things.
Yeah.
And each one of them is afraid to do it. But if you get everybody together,
Yeah.
something's got to happen. Something's got to
Definitely.
happen.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed. I think we should end on that now. So I want to go eat some food.
I could get some food, yeah. Good talk.